My love for Brie Larson is deep. I went from loathing Brie Larson to being the unofficial number one fan site for Brie Larson.
How about a handshake? You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your hand. What, no smile?
This is perhaps the worst news I've ever gotten in my life. Now, I suppose there are a few better places to receive such bad news, but apparently there are many rumors around Disney losing a ton of faith in the Captain Marvel 2 movie. Most of it surrounds around the widespread and very public unlikability or dislike of the main actress Brie Larson. Now, many of you know there is no bigger Brie Larson fan, perhaps in the world, than myself. And over the years, I've grown to appreciate Brie in many, many ways. And I think the hilarity around just how desperate Disney is to make Brie Larson a thing is also pretty funny. If you saw the first Captain Marvel movie, it did very well in the theaters. Many of my detractors would say, "Oh my God, Captain Marvel made $1 billion. Get wrecked, incel." Wrecked, indeed, I was. However, I never said the movie wouldn't make a ton of money. They could have literally put a dancing elephant on screen for 3 hours and said that it was required reading for in Endgame, and Marvel fans would have showed up, watched the entire thing, watched the trailer, and hoped for post-credit scenes. That's Marvel fans. Now, I'm not here to insult or belittle people that enjoy going to see Marvel movies. There are still the occasional kind of peanut in the Duke, as it were, because there's movies like The Eternals, which flopped incredibly. There's movies like Ant-Man, which I wouldn't really say is like a huge tentpole, property for Marvel. It's never been that awesome. Saw like Ant-Man had a huge following. People just love Paul Rudd. And, I think the movies are fine for what they are. I've kind of evolved or moved on from the I have to see these movies in the theater. And I think a lot of people agree there. They also like, we all have, many people have Disney Plus. We have other ways to watch them at home. So there's not really this idea that people have to run out to the movie theater. However, uh, Disney, for MCU, let's just take up until Endgame. There were far more hits than misses. I think we could all agree with that, right? Almost every movie. I mean, you could look at maybe the first Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, or like the second Thor movie, or like there's a couple of stinkers in there, but for the most part, they're all bangers. All the early Guardians of the Galaxy were pretty good, although I think the first Guardians of the Galaxy was the best, and everyone after that kind of went downhill. Thor's hit or miss, but everyone kind of loves Chris Hemsworth. Spider-Man's just a money printing machine, and they do a really good job with it. Maybe it's because Sony's involved. I don't know. Um, but a lot of these other properties that they've tried to make a thing in 2022, 2023 have flopped spectacularly. We saw this with the Eternals. 10 new superheroes we're suddenly supposed to give a dang about, and no time to get to learn about them at all because they don't want anyone to earn their keep anymore. So you used to appear as like a side character in a movie. People get to like you and know you, and then you get your own movies. But now it's like, oh no, go see Eternals. If you don't want to see that, then you're a racist. Well, that's sort of what they shifted to with Captain Marvel. And many people, again, saw Captain Marvel because it was required reading for Endgame, but many people, poked at Brie Larson's, stone-faced performance. A lot of people didn't like the CGI, which is something Marvel fans always complain about. So that's not Captain Marvel specific. But now it seems like or that Disney is really losing faith in the Marvels because we've already talked about like in phase one of them losing faith. I think with the kind of consumer indifference to Brie Larson in that role, they added additional stars. Right? They didn't call it Captain Marvel 2 for a reason. In fact, Captain Marvel is not even in the title. Do you think that that's a coincidence? I don't. I think they absolutely knew that Captain Marvel has a negative stigma, and that's why they called it The Marvels, right? It's super generic. It actually sucks as a name, but the idea that, imagine calling a Thor movie like not having Thor in the title or Captain America. You just called it The Americas. Like that's like as dumb as when they had Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous Emancipation of or whatever it was, Birds of Prey. It was the dumbest title ever and it cost them millions at the box office. So you can't tell me that this wasn't a concerted decision to say, all right, well, we need help. We need help for Brie Larson. So they bring in two other strong independent women who don't need no man. Also, two characters that nobody really knows or cares about except a super small group of people. But it's more diverse. Now, maybe Captain Marvel, Brie Larson herself, asked for this, but there's a reason that this movie has been now delayed not once, not twice, not thrice, not four times, but five times, from what I can understand. If you thought the days if you thought we were past the days of big blockbuster release dates being delayed, think again. On the day that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania hit theaters around the world to a muted reception from critics, Disney has delayed the forthcoming Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels. The Marvels, directed by Nia DaCosta, by the way, who sucks, and Brie Larson, and starring Brie Larson, is now scheduled to hit theaters November 10th. It was previously on the calendar for July 28th. So the summer blockbuster, July 28th, now is moved to the holiday season, November 10th. Disney has swapped the Marvels with theme park inspired movie Haunted Mansion, which was due to come out in August but will now take the July slot. Now, maybe you want that movie, which is like a kids movie, to come out in the summertime when kids are off school. So like I could see why maybe you do that, but why move the your summer blockbuster, right? The Marvels should make $1 billion. By the way, there I will say this right here, right now, there is a 0% chance the Marvels makes anywhere near $1 billion. Like I will shave off my beard if it makes anywhere near $1 billion. Those days are largely gone for Marvel movies, which means they're going to have to start making the budget a lot smaller. Disney gave no indication of whether Marvel needs more time to be completed or whether the company is deliberately spacing out superhero releases after a mixed reaction to Quantumania. So they're saying essentially, the critics didn't like Quantumania. Obviously, I'm nowhere near a movie theater, so you'll have to let me know. I'm gonna guess what you're gonna write in the comments or about Ant-Man 3 is, it was okay, eh, you know, it was something to do. It was something to do on a Saturday, which is like what all Marvel movies are now. They really hosed themselves with Endgame, like they really did, because now it's just like, who cares? Yeah, okay, it's a Marvel movie, I'll go see it. And that's the best you can hope for, unless it's like Spider-Man. Even Thor, like I'm so over Thor. Like Taika Waititi ruined Thor for me. Like it's just so cringe now. Like joke, 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 joke. Nothing serious. There's no stakes. If there's no stakes, why am I supposed to care if a character's getting beat up in a fight or all this stuff? Like when they started with the Pym particles, it's like, oh, the world ended. Nah, we'll just go back and fix it. Like I need real stakes for me to go spend $40 at the movie theater, or to care about something. Now, what's interesting to me is if you look at some of the coverage around this, there's a lot of concern. Disney pushes back the Marvel's release date again, but offers a poster. Whoopity doo dah, a poster. But like, there are bots on the internet that absolutely, mobilize for this. But you can look at a lot of this, and you have, Marvel didn't mention the date change. The internet noticed immediately, with the first couple of date changes being one could possibly argue was due to lockdown delays pushing the film back. But 5 delays sounds like there are issues. It feels like Marvel and Disney are trying to stall this film as long as possible. Previous July 28th release date has now been given to Disney's Haunted Mansion film. They literally took out a Marvel film from a summer date to replace it with their Haunted Mansion movie. This was after they switched the February 17th date out for the new Ant-Man film. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is already facing an uphill battle at the box office in one of the original Marvel slots. The latest Ant-Man film is not expected to perform very well, and it is not even facing much competition until the Coke Bear comes out next week. That's where you're going to see, I mean, a lot of people really want to see that movie. I don't know if it's the same audience. It's certainly some crossover, Um, but it says, right now, Disney's best shot as a Marvel blockbuster seems to rest with the Guardians Galaxy Volume 3 releasing in May. Disney has announced that they will be spreading out Marvel films and shows more. That could be part of the reason the Marvels was pushed back. However, it feels like there could be some issues with the female-led superhero film as it has been shifted 4 times before Disney even made that announcement. Miss Marvel did not do all that well on Disney Plus last June. Now, the critics absolutely loved Miss Marvel. I don't think it's fair to say, that it didn't do well with critics, but it certainly did not bring in a huge audience. Again, because Miss Marvel is like a whatever character. You know, I get it. You get to have a diverse superhero, and so you have to like mute expectations. If you're saying, "Well, she looks like you, so you should go see the movie." Well, that doesn't necessarily hit like it used to. It doesn't work like it used to. Um, and so I'm guessing that there are major, major problems with this movie. And I think if you actually go back and look at the original Captain Marvel, a movie that was rated so poorly that it made uh, Rotten Tomatoes change its entire rating system, uh, this is probably not a good sign. And I think perhaps more of more evidence that the world has kind of started to move on from Marvel films. For me, it's like when they come out, I'm like, oh, I'll watch it on Disney Plus, and then I never do. So I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is it a Brie Larson problem? Is it a Marvel's problem? I don't think we can just pretend like moving a film back 5 times is just a coincidence or something normal. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.